Of course, since Valve slightly adjusted the jump height a few months back, almost all of my older guides are completely outdated. And you guys have not been shy about letting me know that in the comments on those old videos. So let's go ahead and kick off 2025 by refreshing our Essential Smoke Guide for Inferno. So let's kick things off with Banana, since it's pretty much the first point of contact and always chaotic when it comes to the utility. The first essential smoke everyone should know is by going right here in the center of this door frame and doing a simple W jump throw at the bottom right of this dress. That's going to fly all the way up and it's going to land on this left side behind the half wall to extinguish any sort of CT molly that comes in, but also allow you to have a nice gap to hold top car. A lot of times you're going to see players throwing a molly and then slipping in there into that gap so the CTs are forced away, and then if they go back in after the molly fades, well, you might just have a free kill. Now, if you want to take even deeper control of Banana at a faster pace, you can get stuck right here into this corner, and you're just going to aim up from the tip of this building all the way up in between this wire and this corner. I say the tip of this instead of the tip of the wire because the further you are right, the safer this is, but you're just going to do a nice simple W jump throw. And as you can see, this smoke's going to bounce right here and smoke off the dead center of top Banana here, allowing you to push up. You can maybe throw a nice little molly, throw a couple of flashes, and you have way more control than you would typically have, assuming that the CTs aren't dumping everything they have and really trying to contest you. Now, before we move on to the B-Site utility, I do want to thank today's sponsor, Skins Monkey. But what's Skins Monkey, you might ask? Well, it's an automated CS2 trading site that provides an instant way for you to get new skins, and all you have to do is select the old skins that you don't want anymore and grab some new ones from the monkey. They also have a 24/7 live support system and some amazing filter and selection features. But that's not all. You could get up to a free $5 when using code TACTICS on the site. And you could also get up to a 35% deposit bonus when using that same code. So don't miss out on this offer. Go ahead and click that link down in the description and check out Skins Monkey today. Let's get back into the video. So when it comes to smoking off boost, a lot of times you'll see pros going into this corner right here. They're going to aim at the bottom of this nice little pole and doing a left and right click W jump throw. And that's going to end up banking off this nice little spot, landing right in the middle of the boost and completely smoking it off. And this is a pretty nice smoke because it lands quickly and isn't too lurky. It doesn't move too far out here, and it's going to cover that front spot as well. However, it's kind of a lot of moving parts for a very easy smoke. You can just go right here into the middle of this gas line, just right in the center of it, and do a simple left click throw in between this point on the building and this part of the wire. So just right here in the middle, you just do a simple left click throw, and that should have the exact same trajectory. It's going to land right here in the middle, and as you can see, they're not going to be able to inch up towards the front of this and see through it. So honestly, whichever one works for you. I just see most pros throwing it that way when they could just be standing here and throwing it even easier. So hey, it's completely up to you which one you pick. Now, when it comes to coffin smokes, you have a couple of options, but my personal favorite is by going right here into this corner and doing a simple jump throw at the bottom of this dark mark. You can find it very easily by just going to the left of this tip of the arrow and then doing, again, a simple jump throw. And that's gonna go all the way up here. It should bank off of this back wall and land straight down on top of this little concrete bag. And as you can see, you've got a nice smoke here that they're not going to be able to see anything through, and if they, for whatever reason, decide to stay there, you can just headshot them right out of it, just to show you, it is very, you can't see anything from here unless you start spamming and shooting, and even then, you can't really see anything. So this is a pretty good smoke for that, and it's not too lurky. If they try to slip out here onto the right, it's fairly easy to hold that from back here. Now, of course, the only downside of the smoke is the fact they could jump up on top of this position and hold this angle. Now, this isn't always the best idea, but sometimes an operable position there, and it can be a little bit dangerous. So if you want to completely mitigate that, you can be standing in that same exact position, but instead of aiming right here at this dark spot, you find this little dark dot just above the tip of the arrow, and you're going to do a nice W jump throw. Now, this is going to end up banking off of this back wall, but instead of landing on the sandbag, it goes all the way up here into this nice little pocket and creates a giant smoke, as you can see, completely concealing everything. Although it does bleed out a little bit, making this a bit more lurky. They could kind of slip out on the side here and hold an angle like this, which I don't like because the other one is a little bit more tucked and easier to hold from a position like this. But hey, whichever version of that you prefer, go right ahead and throw it. Now, one issue with the smokes banking off of that back wall is the fact that the CTs can body block them and prevent them from landing in the correct spot. So at higher elo, you may run into that. So you can always go on the front side of half wall, crouch and aim right here at this intersection. I actually like to go a little bit lower, somewhere like this, and just do a crouching jump through. And as you can see, this smoke is actually going to end up landing right here in this position, creating a nice giant smoke that's going to cover all the positions we were talking to and landing even better. However, it's a bit more precise than the others. You have to put a little more thought into the lineup, so that's why generally I prefer going back here in the safety of behind half wall and throwing them. Or hey, if you really want to change things up, you can get stuck right here into this position and do a simple left click throw with this rust stain along the gutter, and that's actually going to bank on the outside here and smoke off front sight, which is going to allow you to actually move up here and not worry about new box or any of these positions. You can take fights into CT or even work your way over here towards grill or pool. There's a lot you can do with this thing. You can definitely make the CTs uncomfortable if they've never seen it before, and hey, it may just be a good idea to change things up every once in a while. Now, a lot of times I like to talk about defensive smokes on CT. It's something you don't really need a lineup for, it's just understanding when to use them. For example, let's say you're back here, you're anchoring B sight, and it looks like a sight hit is starting to come in. Smokes, all this stuff is flying around you. Well, if you just right click a smoke right over here to the side of fountain, you can actually slip up behind this coffin smoke in front of this and take some unexpected fights and unexpected angles and peaks on the T's as they're pushing on an entering sight. Now, of course, you're not always just throwing defensive smokes on CT. For a more offensive or aggressive car retake, you can get stuck right here into this corner along the fountain and do a simple jump throw at the top left of this window. That's going to bank off the side of the building here and land just behind half wall to allow you to peek out and re-clear car. Now, there is one flaw with this smoke, and it's the fact that the T's could actually boost over logs and shoot you right over it, catching you completely off guard. This was actually happening quite a bit at the professional level. You may not see this as often in plugs, but it's actually really easy to just completely eliminate the possibility of that happening. And all you're going to have to do is just jump right up here on top of the first oranges box, position yourself right over this little pole. You're going to aim up to the top of this pole and do a nice simple left and right click throw. That's going to go all the way up here. It's going to take a nice little bounce, land on top of the half wall, and be a giant smoke to completely eliminate the possibility of someone boosting over this. Generally, you're going to pair that with a molly and a flash, and hey, if you want to know the full retake set, you can check out a video that I made on it just a few weeks ago. Or hey, if you're wanting to go for a little bit deeper than just half wall control and maybe smoke off bottom banana, well, there are quite a few easy ways to do that. If you're back here behind coffins, you can just do a simple jump through with this little notch on the box, and that should go all the way down to bottom banana and completely smoke it off. From even further back, let's say you're in this corner for whatever reason, if you jump through with this yellow flag along this antenna, well, that's also going to smoke off bottom banana. But honestly, if I'm ever smoking bottom banana, I probably already have car control, and usually I'll just do a nice run throw at this little window here to just smoke it off that way. But whichever way works for you, if there's a specific reason you want to use one of these, you go right ahead. Or hey, a lot of times you'll see teams like Virtus Pro go right in front of this chair off of spawn and do a simple jump throw at the top portion of this little ledge here on the window. That's going to fly all the way up here. It's going to end up banking straight down and completely smoking off the middle of banana here. This is going to allow you to take fights beyond half wall and definitely make the T's a little bit uncomfortable. And of course, you can still bank HEs in either of these pockets to further disrupt anyone pushing up. One of the most useful smokes you could ever learn on CT is by going right here in between the chair and the wall into this nice little corner. You're going to aim from the top left of this window all the way up to the peak of this shingle, the very top of the hill, and you're going to do a nice simple W jump throw. Now this smoke's going to go all the way up. It should go right through the gap in the roof, bank off this wall, and land right in front of this doorway. Now this smoke is not only going to be a perfect bottom banana smoke for any sort of CT aggression, but it's also going to completely smoke off mid for the T's as well. This denies such a massive amount of information, and if used correctly, you can take a ton of map control on the CT side. Now, if you're struggling with the consistency of doing a W jump throw from here, you can also go in front of this chair and do a simple jump throw at this black mark right here, but it's a little bit slower to throw and line this one up, so the timings just don't work out quite as well. But if you can't do it any other way, this is absolutely going to work just fine. As you can see here, after a couple of seconds, this is going to fully expand in to smoke off all of mid. So it's still a decent 2-for-1 smoke. If you're having trouble with the other one, feel free to do it that way as well. Now, if you want to just talk about mid specifically, the most important smoke by far to learn on CT are the FaZe Instant mid smokes. And the first version of that was from this spawn right here. It's the furthest back spawn, spawn 0, close to this little grappling hook. And all you're going to do is find the far left of this double roof and do a simple W jump throw right in the middle of that circle. This thing's going to end up banking off the left side of this wall, landing in the dead center of mid, and it's even going to beat the best spawn timing to allow you to push on towards alt mid and go for an aggressive fight here, denying all that information for the tease. Now, you can throw this from every single spawn. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. I do have a specific video on it if you want a more detailed breakdown, but I'm just going to go through and quickly show each one of these. For spawn 1, according to Refrag, it's this position right here. You're going to end up aiming in the dead center of this double roof and do, yet again, another W jump throw. Now, from the next spawn over, which is spawn 2, you're just going to do a simple jump throw, not a W jump throw, at this little notch right here on the side. Now for spawn 3, this is just another simple jump throw. You're just going to go down from this little notch to this angle, and again, just a simple jump throw. You're then going to go right here to spawn number 4. You can do another simple jump through in this little notch right here along the brick. And for spawn number 5, right here in the dead center, I like to do a nice W jump throw right here at this intersection between all the roofs. And as you can see here, all of these smokes are landing in the dead center of mid very quickly, and they are going to completely smoke off this region of the map, allowing you to get very aggressive and make those tees very uncomfortable. Now, if you don't want to learn all of these instant smokes, you can still go right here to the intersection between these two wires and do a W jump throw at this notch right here. Now that's going to land pretty much the same. It's going to be a bit slower depending on how fast you can line this thing up, but hey, it works if you don't have the time to learn everything. Now, oftentimes in response to that instant mid smoke on the CT side, the tees will come right here into this position and do a simple jump throw at the very top of this window. And that's going to end up going all the way up. It's going to take a nice little bounce right up here into the very top of brackets, smoking it off. And this serves a couple of purposes. One, it's going to deny that easy trade opportunity in case there's any sort of aggression or contact going on in mid, as well as with a little bit of a flash, you could actually pop through either the left or right side, splitting up any sort of crossfire across lane towards arch. Now, when it comes to smoking arch side, my favorite way to do that is by coming right here into this little mailbox corner and doing a simple left click throw from where this line intersects with the gutter. And that's going to be a nice little smoke that's going to ricochet into the balcony here and completely smoke off both deep arches, but it's also going to cover this little cubby here as well. So I'm a big fan of this smoke in general. Now, one criticism that I get a lot is the fact that a lot of times people could peek you from brackets. Now that is a risk, but generally you're not throwing these without teammates up close to help out. But if you want a safer version of that, you can go right here alongside this window. You can follow the arrow to where it intersects with the side of the garage door and do a simple jump throw. And that is a completely safe way to do this that works arguably even better, as you can see. So whichever one you like. But the reason I like this position right here where these mailboxes are is because if you go right here at the intersection between where this kind of light is and the base, you can do a left and right click jump throw with the smoke to completely smoke out arches. So if you decide to push on further past brackets and maybe go for an arch side wrap, well, you can smoke it off just like that without any gaps, and it's not too lurky at all. Now, believe it or not, you could throw every single A-site smoke you could ever need from inside of this postcard stand right here. Starting with an arch smoke, you can go to the left of this knot in the wire and do a simple jump throw. For a library smoke, you just go up from the middle of this S to where it intersects with the top of the roof, and boom, just like that, you've got a library smoke. And you can also just aim right here on the left tip of this V for a moto smoke, or you could crouch, aim just below this lamp, and do a left click throw for a truck smoke. And as you can see here, we have arches completely smoked off, we have library completely smoked off, and a nice little moto smoke that's gonna completely fill in here to smoke off all of moto. And of course, finally, this truck smoke is gonna allow your teammates to push up lane without having to worry about pit, where they can take fights onto site. Obviously, you're not throwing all of these smokes in one round, but it's just nice to know that you can throw everything from one single position. Or hey, if you've got a teammate that's smoking off arches by doing this, you can of course be back here alongside this little wall, and you're gonna aim up to this little knot in the wires, and you're gonna do a simple jump throw for a perfect library smoke. And hey, you can also do a jump throw with a flash at these arrows for a great flash that's gonna allow your teammates to push up here. But as you can see, we have a perfect arch and library smoke that's gonna allow for a nice little arch wrap that I really enjoy throwing. Now, if you're throwing that arch and library smoke, you're definitely gonna have to be pushing out towards this direction, and lane can definitely be a threat. So it's easy enough to just smoke off lane side, but as we've just seen, they can boost up here and completely ruin your day. Now, if you peek up close, they're not gonna be able to spot you, but as you're making your way around this corner, well, they have full line of sight. So there's a couple of ways to deal with that. Now you can always just do a little run through with a molly like this off the side. That's gonna land up here and just completely molly that off. And that's honestly what I would recommend doing. If you wanna get fancy, you can get to where you're splitting this wall right down the middle of this lantern, aiming up at the top of the shingle and doing a simple left click throw. And that's gonna end up landing up here, and it's gonna molly both the very top and the bottom, but sometimes it leaves little gaps here. This looks like a pretty good spread, but overall, whichever one you prefer, go right ahead. I know this is a smoke video, but I always find this one to be pretty cool to talk about. Or hey, if you've already thrown that arch side smoke and you're wanting to push in towards lane after you've cleared out all of this region, if you're a little bit worried about pit, you can always come on the inside of boiler, do a simple left click throw at the top right of this window pane, and take a look at how this is gonna end up landing. It's gonna completely smoke off pit here in the front of truck and allow you to peek out and take fights out on towards site. Now, one of my favorite smokes of all time is a nice little balcony lurk smoke where I'm gonna get stuck right here alongside this radiator and do a simple left click throw right here at the bottom of this little brick. That's gonna end up popping straight out on top of the van, and it's gonna allow you to peek out towards apps, take fights like this without worrying about getting shot from sight. You can work your way out, fully clear out balcony, and no one over here on site is gonna be able to see a thing. Now, when it comes to retaking the A site, there are a few very difficult angles you're gonna have to deal with on your way into retaking. So what I like to do is just not worry about any of that by going right here along the left side of this door frame and doing a left and right click jump through at this nice little dot. It's gonna end up banking off this yellow house, and it's gonna land right here in the dead center, making it to where you don't have to worry about any of those positions, and you can focus towards balcony, towards site, and work your way all the way around while these players are pretty much useless. They're gonna have to move up out of their positions and take different fights. Now, one thing to keep in mind, they can get over here towards graveyard and slip on up on you. So be careful. There are definitely ways they can abuse it, but overall it's better than having to go in blind on top of pit. Alright, so that just about wraps up all of the essential smokes that I think everyone should know for CS2 Inferno. If you think I missed one, let me know down in the comments below. And before we go, I do want to thank all of our amazing channel members on screen right now. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to do what I do every single day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.